Chucky has essentially like figured out how to make Horcruxes, and he's put his soul into other Chucky dolls. It's Kristen, and today we are talking about the first episode of Syfy's new Chucky series. When a vintage Chucky doll turns up at a suburban yard sale, an idyllic American town is thrown into chaos. Meanwhile, the arrival of enemies and allies of Chucky's past threaten to expose the truth behind the killings, as well as the demon doll's untold origins as a seemingly ordinary child who somehow became this notorious killer. Consider subscribing if you like my videos, and drop down in the comments and let me know your thoughts on this first episode of Chucky. Are you a big fan of Chucky, or are you like, nah, I don't need this? So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I've been doing a massive Chucky rewatch. I think like back in the day I might have watched like the first one and like the third one, because I have this very distinct memory of like watching Chucky come out from under a bed and like slashing people's Achilles heels. But other than that, and like knowing that Chucky is this icon in horror, I didn't really know as much about the series, and I was like, alright, let's get into it. So I watched all the movies over the weekend, and I have to tell you, I'm now a member of the cult of Chucky. I'm like very, very invested.
Welcome to the cult, pal. Thanks, you guys are the best.
I'm glad I watched the franchise because there's a lot of history that goes into the story of Chucky, especially going into this series. Because, I mean, even if you don't watch it all, I think just to give you some knowledge and some background, I would recommend at least watching like Child's Play and then Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky, because the Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky really lead into this TV series. And what's happened is that Chucky has essentially like figured out how to make Horcruxes, and he's put his soul into other Chucky dolls, he's put his soul into Nika from those movies, and all of these original characters like Tiffany, like Nika, like Andy are supposed to be coming back and trying to stop Chucky, as we are now also diving into this brand new story about this kid named Jake who comes across the Chucky doll. And at the same time, we're also going to be diving into the legacy of Charles Lee Ray and how he became the serial killer that we know him as. And so there's a lot we're diving into, right? Like that's so much that is going to be tackled in this series. And I think that already kicking it off, they do such a great job of just setting the mood, setting the music, setting up these characters. I mean, first of all, I gotta say, they must have a budget. They were playing like Billie Eilish, and this story is actually set in Hackensack, New Jersey, which is where Charles Lee Ray is originally from, where all of this really started. We're in Chucky's hometown, and they even set up at the very beginning of this episode, before we even get into the modern day story, some of the moments from the past, like the fact that Chucky's parents died in a double homicide, which led to him being put in the foster system and led to all this stuff. So I already enjoy that they're teasing some of these things, and I'm like, alright, did Chucky kill his parents? Did someone else kill his parents? What is it that has led Chucky to becoming the serial killer that he is? So this new story is centered around a kid named Jake. He's a bit of an outsider, a bit of a loner, he's gay, he doesn't really get along with his family very well, and he's an artist. He's making these art pieces out of dolls. And so he finds his Chucky doll at a yard sale and he buys them to use for his art piece. Chucky really takes his time before revealing that he's alive in this episode.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Jake wants to learn more about this Chucky doll, and he does some research, and he goes on eBay, and he's deciding he wants to try to sell it because it's worth a lot of money. And this guy reaches out to him that I am pretty sure is Andy, telling him, be careful of this doll.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm calling about the doll.
What?
Be very careful with that doll.
What are you talking about?
Have you checked his batteries?
And we find out that there are not batteries in it, and we get a scene that definitely feels like a call to that first movie where he's checking for the batteries, there's nothing in there, and then he's shaking the doll and he's like, damn it, speak to me! I'm like, oh, I see exactly what you're doing there.
I said talk to me, damn it!
Later on, we also get a scene that felt like a callback to Seed of Chucky, with Glenn/Glenda being a ventriloquist dummy, where Chucky ends up doing ventriloquism at the school talent show with Jake and kind of ragging on Lexi, who's the mean girl in school. And so I appreciated that callback, but I'm also like, oh shoot, Lexi is not going to take that sitting down. She really reminds me of like a Chloe Grace Moretz, you know, just a young, tough kid. She's going to be very interesting to watch, potentially even become a character that we love to hate, or, you know, maybe be killed by Chucky, because by the end of this episode, Chucky is trying to basically make it seem like he's on his side, he's his friend, by killing his homophobic father, by going after Lexi, the bully in school. This is something I feel like we haven't really seen Chucky do before. Normally he's just, you know, going on a killing spree. But this time he's really kind of messing with this kid Jake and going after the people that have hurt Jake. When it comes to the father's death, Chucky pulls like an exorcist. He like pukes up all this water and electrifies him, which, you know, I feel like we've seen that electrified death a couple of times in the Chucky universe already. Getting into some of the other characters, there's Junior, who is Jake's cousin. The two of them don't really seem to get along very well. It seems like there's also like a class hierarchy a bit. Jake and his dad were struggling, where Junior and his parents are much more well off. There's also the character of Devin, who Jake has a crush on. He's the son of a detective, and he's really into true crime as well, and he has his own podcast. And so, you know, they're really setting the stage. I feel like we're getting to know these characters. I also am really loving the different connections and parallels that I'm seeing already to the previous movies, so I hope that they continue to do that. This, I think, was a really solid introduction to this new story. There's so much that they're setting up. When it comes down to it, this first episode of Chucky really dives into all the things that you love about the franchise. It's scary, it's funny, it's a little campy. We have this new, fresh middle school setting, and we're telling this new story while also still backtracking and learning more about the history and legacy of this entire franchise. I think they can really explore some very rich storytelling here and just flesh out things that maybe they had not been able to do before in the movies, and I'm very excited for that. If you guys like this one, you can check out more of my Chucky videos right over here, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!